I was talking to my grandmother. Oh, I love my grandma. And I was talking to her a couple Christmases ago, and I had sent her, it was probably now 4 or 5 years ago, had sent her a letter coming out, and she said, just a couple Christmases ago, that letter you sent me, that was the nicest letter I've ever gotten. And I thought, I mentioned in that letter that I was trans, right? Because I didn't expect that you would think that was the nicest letter you'd ever gotten. But and she said, well, we were surprised about the name change, but we knew something was going on. I mean, I definitely enjoy the fact that, my family refers to it as my name change, even though it's clearly a lot more than that. And I mean, in some ways, it's more than that to me, for sure. It was a lot more work than a name change. It was a lot more money. And so on one hand, that's just their way of understanding it. And I don't find that, offensive. I didn't, cringe internally. I just thought, that's one way of putting it. So when I had my chest surgery, I went to Omaha, Nebraska. Mostly because it's really cheap. Not really, really cheap, but cheaper and cheap to stay there. But my grandparents live outside of Omaha, and they're really sweet. And this was when it was still really uncomfortable, and they called and offered to let me stay at their house while I was recovering, which I didn't actually do because I was like, I don't want to really be an hour and a half away from where I've just had major surgery. But we went and visited. I went with my girlfriend and we visited, and my parents were there, and it was really awkward because not only was it awkward, I just had my sex change surgery, and I was also all hobbled, and I felt miserable, and I couldn't sleep, so I wasn't ready to make it easier. I was just ready to curl up and die. But no, so nobody wanted to talk about why we were there. We were just kind of hanging around. I hobbled around, and my grandmother, after I had my surgery, we were sitting around, and she totally bonded with me. She was like, when I had my knee surgery, when I had my knee replaced, I was laid up. She's like, I know how it is. And my grandma and I bonded over our surgeries, which is so fun. I mean, it was so sweet because nobody really wanted to talk about why I was there. And, it wasn't a direct, how do you feel about your chest surgery? But she was just oh, I know how it is. I was laid up. And so it was so sweet of her, and I really, really adore her.